Good morning, class. Today we will do lesson 11, Employee Selection Process. In this lesson, we will study steps in employee selection process, factors influencing selection process, importance of selection, placement, and principles of placement. Now let's look at steps in selection process. A comprehensive, that means a complete selection process includes various steps. Selection is a process of choosing the most suitable person for the vacant position in the organization. Now let us see the definition given by the authors of Personal Management and Industrial Relations. Let's look at the definition given by Dale Wanter. According to him, selection is the process in which the candidates for the employment are divided into two classes, those who are offered employment and those who are not. And David and Robbins, they say selection is a managerial decision-making process to predict which job applicants will be successful if hired. So, selection is a process of differentiating between applicants in order to identify and hire those with a greater likelihood of success in job. These are the steps which the organization follow to select an employee. First is the application blank. Candidates are given application form to collect information about the candidate. Then the selection committee shortlists the candidates from the application reserve. That is done in scrutinizing. Now, the shortlisted candidates are called for selection test. Once the candidate qualifies in the selection test, they are called for interview. They have face-to-face interaction between the interviewer and the interviewee. If the candidate qualifies in an interview, sometimes they are called for physical examination because a person of poor health cannot work completely. After that, after which selection committee sends the list of candidates selected with some candidates kept in waiting list for the approval from the higher authority. Then the successful candidates who passes through these various steps of selection process is called for final interview. Here the candidates are briefed or told about the organization's cultural values and about the rules and policies. The candidate is also given the freedom to seek clarification. After the final selection is made, the process is completed, certain documents are signed by the organization, and the contract is made. Next is the selection test. Now, tests are conducted to find out whether the candidate possesses the necessary qualification to fill in the position. Now, tests are classified into ability test and personality test. Ability test consists of aptitude test, achievement test, intelligence test, judgment test. Personality test consists of interest test, personality test, projective test, and attitude test. Now, let's understand the various tests in brief. Aptitude test is conducted to measure the suitability of the candidate for the job. Aptitude tests are measured by numerical reasoning test, verbal reasoning test, inductive reasoning test, mechanical reasoning test, diagrammatic reasoning test. Then the achievement test. These tests measure a candidate's level of skill, accomplishment, and knowledge in the particular subject. These are actually the tests which are conducted in the school. Then the intelligence test. This test is conducted to measure the IQ or the mental capacity of a candidate. Judgment test is conducted to test the presence of mind and the reasoning capacity of the candidate. Then the personality test. Now these tests, the personality tests, are conducted to find the non-intellectual traits of the candidate like temperament, emotional response. Personal tests are measured by the following ways. Interest test. This test measures the candidate's interest in the field chosen by him, so the organization can assign or give the suited duties to him. Then the personality inventory test. This test assesses or checks the reliability and the inborn characters of the candidate. Projective test. Now, this test measures the candidate's values, his attitudes, nervousness, so the personality out of the narration given by the candidate. Attitude test. This test measures the candidate's tendencies towards the people or situation. Now, let us look at the various types of interview. These are the following types of interview. Interview represents a face-to-face interaction between the interview and the candidate. Some of the methods of interview are preliminary interview, structured interview, unstructured interview, telephonic interview, stress interview, panel interview, in-depth interview, online interview, group interview, and video conferencing interview. Now let's see the types of interviews in brief. Preliminary. This interview is conducted to know the suitability of the candidate for the job. Next, we see the structured, guided, or the planned interview. In this method, a series of questions are pre-prepared by the interviewer to ask the candidate. They are ranked on the basis of score earned. Unstructured interview. There is no pre-prepared questions. The suitability of the candidate is based on the response to the random questions raised in the interview. In-depth interview. This test is conducted to test the level of knowledge of the candidate in the particular field intensively and extensively. Panel interview. When a group of people interview the candidate, it is called a panel interview. Stress interview. This type of interview is conducted to test the temperament and the emotional balance of the candidate. Telephone interview. This type of interview is conducted to eliminate the unfit and the unsuitable candidate at the preliminary stage. Online interview. Interviews conducted by the means of internet like Skype, video chat are online interviews. Group interview. A group interview is a screening process where multiple candidates are interviewed at the same time. Video conferencing. Video conferencing interview is similar to face-to-face interview. It's a kind of conference call that connects the candidate with the companies located at different places. Now let's see the factors influencing the selection process. The nature of the post also affects the selection process. It depends upon the type of personnel to be given the employment. The number of candidates. Selection process depends upon the response of the candidates. Then the selection policy. Some organizations, they put in a tougher selection policy while others have a relaxed policy. Cost factor or the budget. Longer selection process means higher cost. So the organization who cannot afford to tend to cut down the selection process. The process of selection depends on the experience and qualification and the exposure required for the various positions. Next, we have the importance of the selection. Number 1, reduced cost of training and development. Better selection of candidates reduces the cost of training because qualified person will have a better grasping power. Then, reduced turnover. Proper selection of the candidates helps to low labor turnover. Good talent. Proper selection enables the organization to appoint talented personnel for the various activities and the job. Better efficiency. Selection of the right person to the right job brings in better efficiency. Job motivation. If the right person is selected for the right job, it tends to motivate the person to work more efficiently. And other benefits. Proper selection of the candidates reduces the absenteeism. They would pay better attention and their jobs, and they take safety precautions. Next, placement. The process of placing the right man on the right job is called placement. The definition as given by Dale Wanter. The determination of the job to which an accepted candidate is to be assigned and his assignment to that job. The principles of placement. The first one is job first, man next. So man should be placed on the job according to the requirement of the job. There is no compromise on the requirements or the qualification of the man with respect to job. Job offer. The job should be offered to the man based on his qualification. Terms and conditions. The employee should be made fully equipped with the terms and conditions prevailing in the organization. Aware about the penalties. The employee should also be aware of the penalties if he or she commits wrong or lapse. Their loyalty and cooperation. He should be told about the loyalty and the cooperation that he has to be intended to put in the organization. Hope you have been briefed on this lesson, and thanks. Happy learning.